very critical moment for the future of the European Union. The Catalonia referendum, the Brexit talks, the illegal immigration, not to talk about the debate on the structural reforms, all are very difficult challenges that require a serious approach. And my conviction is that we need also to have a also not only serious but liberal approach. Europe seems now in the position of a fireman that is fighting to extinguish too many fires in a battle that is never ending. My concern, I would say even my fear, is that we are not dealing with these fires in the appropriate manner. I think that Europe is making some mistakes, but I will mention only two. First of all, we are addressing all these issues like being separate when they are interconnected. For example, the way in which European Union handled the migration crisis fueled most probably the pro-Brexit debate. And in addition, looking at the Catalonia, everyone can see the nationalistic tendencies making surface, and we are in danger, of course, of seeing very soon other similar moves. Second of all, despite a pro-European language, many EU member states are acting using a strategy of zero-sum game. In other words, viewing each of our separate interests as a game of winning and losses, in which one wins and others are losing. We've seen this approach in dealing with the migrant crisis, when the talks about building fences or closing borders or putting troops on the border were very, very present. Of course, we have to speak about solutions, and the solutions for the problems which we are facing can be found by giving a much bigger role to the way in which EU is moving forward. And my feeling is that all the Europe should assume a role of compass for the European Union, as it has done in the past sometimes. You know that for a sailor, the compass shows every time the right direction to get out of the storm. In this exact way, I feel ALDE can show the way for getting out of the crisis Europe is facing now. The way to deal with the problems the EU is facing is to realize that we are all in this, and we can get out only by trying to help each other, to show the necessary cohesion and not to climb on others' backs, as it happened in the past. This logic means that we have to share the burden in cases such as the migrants crisis, and not to send certain states in the back, riding the fifth wheel, or by saying, in other words, a Europe with one speed or two speeds, or like a variable geometry. I want to give you the example of my country. Romania, in order to better address the issue of EU structural reforms, it's confronted nowadays with a phenomenon which is not specific only to Romania, but to Bulgaria, I believe, as well, which is the brain drain. Most of the young, well-educated citizens are fleeing the country, working in other EU member states, especially in Western Europe, and contributing in a very consistent way to their growth. The reality is that when we are looking at the bigger picture, Romania becomes a net contributor to the EU. So we have made huge strides to promote liberal policies in the economy, and I am very proud to say that ALDE Romania fought for these reforms. The results can be seen. Romania has now probably the highest economic growth rate in Europe and also in the last years. For us, and not only for us, the same goes for states like Poland or Czech Republic. A multi-speed Europe, it's hurting all our efforts and will fuel the discrepancies with other European countries. On the other hand, a single-speed Europe will benefit not only Romania, but also the entire Europe. If Romania will be stronger, and Bulgaria and the eastern countries will become stronger, then Europe for sure will be much stronger in the world competition. A liberal thinking, meaning encouraging performance and fair competition, should be at the foundation of the EU structural reforms. Now I want to make a short parenthesis because I'm referring to my country and to the region and because we are talking about liberal values. I want you to ask to truly promote the liberal approach when dealing with Romania. Why? Because I have the feeling that in the last years the Republic of Prosecutors was too much praised regarding the landscape in Romania, neglecting or abandoning completely to talk about rights and freedoms of citizens, which were abused. And we are facing now in Romania a huge abuse of power, and we as liberals in Romania, ALDE as a party, we have taken a serious role to defend the freedom and the rights of our citizens. I made this parenthesis because I remember very vividly when talking with different EU leaders in 2006 and 2007, before and after the accession, we all talked about a Europe of values and shared responsibilities. Democracy and prosperity are the direct consequences of acting in accordance with these values. And the strength of the EU rests on these values and principles. Furthermore, these values should be at the core of the EU enlargement process regarding the Western Balkans. We must ask ourselves what will happen with the enlargement process when the aspiring states see how EU acts driven by some political selfish interests in imposing moving targets. I mean, I'm referring to my Bulgarian colleagues, the CVM, the Cooperation and Verification Mechanism. This has become also like the Schengen, very political debate and discussion. And of course, the President of the European Commission has committed himself, because it is the right of the European Commission to put an end to this mechanism, to stop the mechanism. But Mr. Juncker has declared that the time has come to reach the end with this so-called cooperation and verification mechanism, and I hope for sure this attitude will become, I would say, very relevant for the enlargement process, because my conviction is that the new member states have to continue working and making further progress, and to realize that they will be judged only and only on the criteria which have been established, agreed on, and accomplished, and not on different other political interests. If the enlargement process will be a process of selfish interests, then it will be doomed to fail. For sure, the way to go forward is to push our liberal approach, and I know that I have around me like-minded leaders who will continue to fight for our values and principles, which have been extremely important when the decisions concerning the enlargement were taken with the new member states in the two phases which you have mentioned before. Because I remember in 2002, it was a liberal troika at the level of the European Union, which probably had played the most important role to push forward enlargement. Pat Cox as president of the parliament, it was Romano Prodi as president of the commission, and Anders Fogh Rasmussen as he was at the time the president of the European Council. And we have to remember that it was through us, through liberals, that Europe has become what it is today, and I'm convinced it will do as it has done in the past to further continue the enlargement process and the consolidation of the European project. Thank you.